Burlesque by Kamari333. Chapter 26. Food for Thought. Red dropped off the shopping bags at Lust's apartment, Suave in tow, then headed off to finish the rest of the shopping. He didn't really mind having his pet's brother tag along, but it certainly didn't help with his speed, or his slowly growing headache. Especially when Suave insisted on stopping every 3 goddamn feet to chat with someone. Eventually, Red just started leaving him where he was, grabbing anything in the general vicinity that he needed, and coming back to pull the social butterfly into the next area. Suave got distracted with some human lady handing out free cheese samples next to the fruits and vegetables. Red quickly maneuvered his cart around the area, ignoring the startled or amused looks from the other patrons. Just because he had LV and wore leather doesn't mean he can live off the ambient misery of others, goddammit, he needs food too. Red picked up a few apples, tossing a bag of the red ones into the cart. Fuck the green ones, they were sour anyway, when a display of watermelon caught his eye. Red had noticed Dance had been eating watermelon lately, no idea why, they didn't look all that appetizing. Lust was rather fond of them as well, keeping 1 or 2 in the fridge even when nothing else seems to stay in stock, and that's saying something when, honestly, Lust didn't keep his kitchen as well as he should. Even Red had kept some snack food squirreled away in his shitty apartment, but Lust always looked like fucking Whoville on Christmas Eve after the Grinch had come to town. Red had been planning on restocking the kitchen once his paycheck started coming back in, his meager savings certainly not up for that kind of regular beating. But with Lust footing the bill for this trip, Red planned to make sure he got the best of everything at the lowest price possible. It also meant he wanted to find a way to sate his pet's craving. Picking one of the watermelons up, Red examined it, rapping his knuckles against the gaudy green rind. Fuck, he hated that color. Green was dumb. Maybe he should try to wean the guys onto that nice beige-looking melon over there. Was that petty? That was probably petty. He should get them what they like. It's not like he'll be eating it. Deciding he didn't like the sound of this one in particular. Not juicy enough. No hollow ring like that website said to look for. Why the fuck was fruit so complicated? And needed to try another one. He must have gone through 3 or 4 before he found one he thought would work. A dull green rind with crisscross brown stitch patterns, signs that a bunch of bees had already judged the fruit to be good, and stuffed it into the cart. Suave was still going on about the pros and cons of cheese, so Red kept moving down the line, grabbing some onions here, some carrots there, some cucumbers, again with the green, stupid color, and a bag of tiny oranges, clementines, whatever, it's all citrus, for a healthy snack. He also stopped to get a number of tomatoes, plenty of tomatoes. They weren't on the list, but they were an essential. Red then swung back around, avoiding a particularly unsavory-looking elderly man who was giving him the stink eye from the salad bar. He waved his hand for Suave to follow as he made a turn down the coffee aisle, instinctively snagging a can of the cheapest, blackest instant coffee grounds, before remembering he had had to pawn his machine off a few months back, and Lust didn't have his own. He put the can back and moved on without a word, ignoring the look Suave gave him. Red again consulted his hilariously long list, before scanning the store again and making a game plan in his head for his next steps. First, he started with the bread, and he made sure to get a lot of it. He stopped in the spices section, picking out mustard powder, turmeric, pepper, paprika, garlic, thyme, salt, brown sugar, corn syrup, and a number of other things. He swung into another aisle and grabbed different kinds of broth, as well as pasta, although certainly not as much as Suave seemed to think was prudent, given how he kept suggesting, "One more." He snagged the 4 different kinds of cereal on the list, and 1 more for good measure. Lastly, he ducked into the dairy aisle and got butter, milk, and plenty of eggs. Checkout was a nightmare. Red made another trip back to the apartment, putting all the food away, then had to go out again to get the last of the list from various specialty shops around the city. There were special watermelon cucumber-scented candles from one store, a few coconuts from another, watermelon-flavored lube, and the look on Suave's face when he realized what kind of store they needed to go into for that was priceless. Ha! A coat hanger, but it had to be from this one very specific carpenter who made them with imported redwood, and it took 20 minutes just to find the guy's store in some inconspicuous little corner, hidden behind a taco truck. A specially ordered fabric softener with watermelon scent. What the fuck was with all the watermelon stuff? Was there something Red was missing? Comically large curly straws, and a wind chime made from bioluminescent crystal. When it was finally over, Red came right back to the apartment, put everything away, then gave himself a moment to crash on the couch. Suave looked around the apartment, working slowly around the room. "I do not see any pictures on the wall. You really did just move in." Red snickered. "Yeah, well, don't got much to hang up. Boss has most of the pictures." And what few pictures Red did have were silly, sentimental things that he didn't want to bother hanging up, not when he could be evicted at any time, not in his boyfriend's apartment. Suave hummed noncommittedly before heading for the kitchen again. Red groaned as he stood back up, shucking off his coat and hanging it on the new coat hanger. He almost left it at that, but then dug into his coat pocket and pulled out that velvet box, stuffing it into the pocket of his shorts, keeping it close so he could fill it with intent, even if it was never going to be used. Only then did he head for the kitchen himself, rolling his shoulders and stretching. He had to start on dinner anyway, but after the day he'd had so far, all he really wanted to do was curl up on the couch with his sweetheart and nap. But Red would do anything for his pet, so he rolled up his metaphorical sleeves and started cooking, ignoring the scrutinizing stare of his house guest. Lust and Dance sat with Boss a little longer before bidding him farewell and heading out to finish their errand. He had had it all planned out, sort of. Lust had hoped there would be some secret gesture that the handbook had neglected to mention, something that would prove that Dance's attempts were from a place of genuine caring. No such luck, of course. He should have figured as much, but he had still hoped. But that just meant Dance would have to find his own way of expressing himself. And that was the issue, wasn't it? Dance couldn't express himself. Words didn't come so easily to him when they weren't sharpened by spite. Boss's suggestion to just tell Red that they were dating sounded like it might actually have a chance to work, or at least more of one than any other plan Lust could think of. Gifts and spite were the only weapons Dance had in this, and Lust had already tried and failed to persuade Red to make the first move. Red was adorably terrified of hurting or scaring Dance. He refused to initiate anything, which, in Lust's personal opinion, was a shame because Red was so affectionate and thoughtful, and he seemed to thrive in an environment where he could show how much he cared. Lust certainly thrived when Red showed him how much he cared. He'd never felt better since Red moved in. And Lust was certain if Red would stop holding himself back, then it would all fall into place. But he refused, and that, in its own way, Lust knew, was a form of Red caring too, and he adored him for it. But watching these two circle each other was torture. Lust gave his boyfriend's hand a sympathetic squeeze. "It's all right, baby. I'm sure we'll figure something out." Dance squeezed back, head hung down, eyelids half focused on the middle distance. "Dance?" Dance looked up. Yeah, sure." Lust almost asked, but something stopped him. Maybe it was the way Dance avoided his gaze, but at the same time shifted closer, seeking comfort that Lust was more than happy to provide. Maybe it was the strain in his smile, the tension in his shoulders, even as the rest of him remained fluid and flexible. And no, stop it, don't think about that right now. There was a time and a place for everything, and this was definitely not it. Maybe it was because they were still outside, in public, and he knew Dance would never be comfortable burying himself in such an open place. Regardless, Lust kept his gestures nonverbal, nuzzling into Dance's shoulder and keeping close. Dance let go of his hand for a split second, only to sling his arm around Lust's neck and hook 2 fingers around Lust's collar, a gesture Dance had been doing more and more lately, not that Lust minded. The blended feeling of Red's magic surging through the leather, along with Dance's proximity to his throat, was reassuring in a way Lust couldn't quantify. Lust couldn't help the contented sigh that escaped him as he sagged into Dance's side, slowing and narrowing his gait to prolong this comfortable, easy stroll to their next destination. "Where are we even going?" Dance finally asked, coming out of his inner thoughts enough to realize they were still walking. Lust smiled. "Well, gift-giving is a big thing with Red and Boss, so I figured maybe getting Red a gift would help." Les would admit, to himself at least, that he had always wanted to just wander around thrift stores and bargain bins with a date mate, looking for that perfect little treasure hidden in the chaos. He did want to help Dance and Red build that metaphorical bridge, too. But it wasn't selfish to want to enjoy the process, was it? Was it? Lust felt that gentle tug as Dance curled his fingers tighter around his collar. "That's a good idea, yeah, but what do I even get him?" "I don't know," Lust admitted, gripping his date mate's wrist gently, holding him there against his clavicle. "But maybe if we look around you'll see something?" "Better than nothing," Dance admitted. Lust continued leading the way, heading for the little corner of the city where the mom and pop shops were set up. He knew where he wanted to start first. Bob and Tim's Depot. Plenty of small vendors from around the city sent their excess supply there to be sold at a reduced price, so while it was usually more common items, the variety was much higher. As a bonus, half of all the proceeds went to help the needy Temmies and Flowies that struggled with city life, and the shop gave them jobs. The depot was big. Les tried to remember what it used to be before it was repurposed by the co-owners. Sam's, Walmart, Costco, Lowe's, something weird. The external sliding doors were loud as the two of them approached, buffeting them both in the face with the more intimate air of the store itself, heavy with stagnation and lingering traces of the treasures within. As the external doors closed, the inner doors opened, and Lust couldn't help but smile at the cheerful greetings that met them as they entered the store. "Hoi, I'm Temmy!" "Hoi, I'm Temmy!" "Howdy, I'm Flowey!" "Howdy!" "Hoi!" "Howdy!" "Tim's so glad you come!" "You're my best friend!" At his side, Dance stiffened considerably, glaring at the childlike little flower monsters that were mixed in with the plushy monsters. Lust elbowed him, trying to convey with a look alone that he should be nice, that just because they were a little different didn't mean they were bad. Dance returned his look with one that Lust couldn't quite read. Brows furrowed, eyelids solid and focused, jaw locked tight, the corners of his perpetual smile slightly downturned into the skeletal analog of a straight line. After a moment, Dance let some of that tension ease, his expression shifting, softening, an indulgent grin playing at his teeth. Lust noticed how Dance casually pulled him closer and avoided the flowers as they went inside to explore. The store was sectioned off, large colorful signs and banners written in slanted, childish handwriting proclaiming the theme of each area. One said, "Launch Box," the banner fluttering gently in the slight breeze from the AC in front of shelves upon shelves of lunch boxes and packs and some picnic baskets. Some of them were simple, some were covered in images from different franchises, and at least one or two were paper bags decorated in stickers and marker with varying degrees of artistic skill. A Flowey was bouncing excitedly next to one of the shelves, grinning up at a small human child who was pointing to one of the displays higher up, clutching their mother's hand. The Flowey reached high with a vine, pulling one of the boxes down, to which the child shrieked with delight, letting go of their parent to hug both the box and the flower. Lust melted at the adorable sight. Dance shifted his weight, turning them to head in another direction, away from the Flowey and the human. Lust looked up to see the most likely destination was a section labeled "Not Food, No Eat." When they turned into the aisle, it was row upon row of food-themed paraphernalia. Lust saw pillows and plush toys shaped like fruits and vegetables, squeaky toys, wax fruit, a hot dog costume, those floaties that everyone called noodles but were really just long foam cylinders, food stickers, and there were a few sets of edible underwear, which were being examined far too seriously by a familiar face. "Long time no see, lovely," Lust cooed, waving with his free hand. The only other person in the area, a human in a purple, gray, black, and white striped sweater, put down the package, blushing as they looked up to see him. A smile broke over their face. "Lust!" They darted over, their sneakers making soft, squeaky thuds on the tiles. Lust pulled away from Dance to give his human friend a greeting hug. "It's been too long, lovely. How have you been?" Frisk squeezed him tight, stooping slightly to really give it their all, before pulling back to look him in the face. "I've been doing so well. College is a nightmare, but I'm acing all my classes." They threw finger guns to punctuate their linguistic choice. "A." Lust returned the finger guns, grinning brighter. "And is this one of those boyfriends you've been gushing about?" Frisk asked, looking to where Dance was standing very still, smile tight. "Probably. Call me Dance," Lust's boyfriend answered, winking with his right socket, offering his hand. Frisk took it without hesitation, only to set off the whoopee cushion. Dance snickered. Frisk looked Lust dead in the face. Of course your boyfriend would greet people with a whoopee cushion." Their lips pressed tight together, but Lust could see them tremble and waver, could see their narrow eyes widen ever so slightly as they fought the urge to laugh. Lust beamed. "I know, right? Isn't he great?" Lust snuggled back up to Dance's side, looping his arm around Dance's that had snaked into his hoodie pouch. "Dance, this is Frisk, our little Lovely who helped us out of the mountain. Lovely, this is Dance, my date mate." "Dance? Oh, I heard about you. You fix cars and stuff, right?" Frisk hummed. "And you're good at beatbox and hip-hop." "Dunno who told you that, but I don't dance." Dance cut them off, pulling his hand back, his grin again strained. "It's why they call me Dance, 'cause I don't do it." Lust and Frisk looked at him, then at each other. Lust could see the question in the human's face. He shook his head, not wanting to make a scene or push his boyfriend further than he was comfortable going, although this was certainly a topic he would be coming back to later. "Well, it's very nice to meet you in person," Frisk affirmed. "Thanks so much for being there for Lust. I've never seen him this happy." "My pleasure, kiddo," Dance answered, shifting ever so slightly to lean into Lust, to soak in his warmth and exert that gentle pressure into Lust's shoulder. He didn't take his eyes off of Frisk. Had he looked away once since they came in here? Lust didn't think so. "So," Lust purred, trying to steer the conversation in a more pleasant direction. "What was it that brought you out shopping, Lovely?" "I'm looking for a gift for Toriel. Something nice that she'll like," Frisk answered. "And so, naturally, you thought some gummy bear panties would be perfect." Frisk blushed. "No, I just didn't know what they were until I picked up the packaging." Lust giggled. "I'm just ribbing you, Lovely. I'm sure you'll find the perfect thing. Maybe something to do with snails? Or a new whip?" It's weird that you can say those two things in the same breath. Frisk deadpanned. "Am I wrong?" "No, but that's beside the point. What are you two doing here?" Lust looked at Dance, who still wasn't looking away from Frisk. His eyelights were a bit smaller, more focused than Lust thought they should be. "We're looking for a gift for Red. Dance wants to ask him out, but Red's a bit oblivious." Frisk looked between Lust and Dance. "Red? Is that your other boyfriend?" Their neutral expression stayed in place until a knowing, sly smile crept over it. "Going for a nice healthy poly?" Lust felt his face heat up. "It's not like that. I just want them to be happy." "Neither of us is gonna be happy if you're not there too," Dance murmured softly, making Lust's soul flutter and spasm so violently he worried about losing HP. "It's the one thing that asshole and I agree on." Lust tightened his grip on Dance's arm. "What are you gonna get him?" Frisk inquired. "Dunno," Lust admitted. "Something that will help Dance convey his feelings?" Frisk turned back to the shelves. "Well, humans like to give gift cards, flowers, and candy when they like someone, but I read a story that once it was popular to give apples to show interest. What do monsters usually give?" Lust nearly said head, but kept his mouth shut, thinking better of it. Dance started walking, going around Frisk to get to the other side of the aisle. Thanks for the suggestion. See ya. Frisk wasn't as good at hiding the hurt on their face as they probably thought they were, but Lust appreciated the effort. He knew how much they wanted to get along with everyone, how hard they worked to be accepting and build bridges. After they passed them, Lust looked over his shoulder, making the universal "I'll call you" hand gesture and waving, hoping they would understand that it wasn't anything they had done. Dance just didn't like humans, and that was something Lust was still working on. When the two of them turned into the next aisle, Lust lightly bumped Dance's hip with his own. "Be nice, sweetie. They were only trying to be helpful." "Sure they were," Dance grumbled, eyeing the shelves of not food. "Yes, they were," Lust affirmed. "And you like their idea, don't you?" "I thought of it first," Dance pouted. "But I was thinking of..." He must have finally seen what he was looking for, because he quickened his pace and stopped by a shelf to pull down a giant stuffed mustard bottle. He held it, looking at it, color slowly lighting up his maxilla. "It's perfect," Lust agreed, leaning over to press a quick kiss to his jaw. Dance also grabbed a big stuffed apple plushie. "And this too? An apple for the professor?" He clenched his teeth, face blazing brighter, visible even after Dance pulled his hood down over his face. "God, this is stupid. This is never going to work." "Sweetie, no," Lust insisted, grabbing Dance's chin and making him look at him. "You can do this. I know you can. Feelings are hard, but you can come out on top if you just keep thrusting." Lust cut off with a muffled yelp as Dance chucked the apple in his face. "Eat that!" Dance laughed, face burning a brilliant sapphire blue. "What, are my puns not to your taste? Maybe this is a better flavor?" Lust pulled down a watermelon plushie, wiggling his brows suggestively from behind it. Dance's flushed face somehow managed to get brighter, and he chucked the mustard bottle plushie at him. "You realize we're getting all three of these now." "And maybe the ketchup? After all, can't separate a matching set." When they finally left the store, they had the ketchup, mustard, apple, watermelon, cheeseburger, and mayo bottle plush toys stuffed in their dimension boxes. Hey guys, Mel here. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed it, please like this video, and if you want to see more, consider subscribing. I look forward to bringing you the next chapter. Bye!